Black Moon Lake was a breathtaking tourist spot, nestled in a lush valley, surrounded by mountains that mirrored perfectly in its still waters. During the day, it was a place of peace, beauty, and serenity. People would flock to its shores, mesmerized by the scenery, and many found themselves falling in love at first sight with the lake's charm. But as the sun dipped below the horizon and darkness fell, Black Moon Lake took on a different reputation. Rumors swirled around the town, whispers of demons that roamed the lake at night, of eerie figures emerging from the water, and of a legendary creature lurking beneath the surface. Some said the lake housed the world's largest crocodile, a beast so massive it could swallow a person whole. Others spoke of spirits trapped in the water, pulling unsuspecting souls into the depths. No one knew the truth, but one thing was certain. No one dared go to the lake after nightfall. Except for a group of teenagers eager to test the legends. Danny, Alex, Jenny, and Sarah had heard the stories all their lives. They scoffed at the idea of haunted waters and giant crocodiles, dismissing it as nothing more than the town's way of keeping people from having fun. It was a warm summer night, and they decided it was the perfect opportunity to camp by the lake and prove everyone wrong. They packed their bags filled with snacks, flashlights, and a tent, and made their way to the water's edge, the last light of the setting sun fading behind the mountains. "This place is stunning at night," Jenny remarked, staring out over the water. The surface of the lake was so still it looked like glass, reflecting the stars above. "Yeah, no demons or crocodiles in sight," Danny joked, setting up the tent. They spent the evening laughing, telling ghost stories, and enjoying the quiet isolation. Midnight came, and the air grew colder. The once still waters began to ripple, though there was no wind. Sarah, who had been staring out at the lake, frowned. "Did you guys see that?" "See what?" Alex asked, shining his flashlight out over the lake. "There was something out there, a shadow, I think," Sarah replied, squinting into the darkness. The others shrugged it off as her imagination. But as the minutes passed, the atmosphere began to change. The night grew unnaturally quiet. No crickets, no wind rustling the trees, just an eerie, unsettling silence. The water, once calm, now gently lapped at the shore, the ripples growing more pronounced. Then came the sound, a low, guttural growl, so deep it seemed to vibrate the ground beneath their feet. The four friends froze, exchanging uneasy glances. "Okay, what was that?" Jenny whispered. "Probably just a wild animal," Danny said, but even he didn't sound convinced. The growl came again, this time louder, closer. It seemed to echo across the lake, bouncing off the mountains. They all turned toward the water. A shadow moved just beneath the surface, something large. Too large. Before anyone could respond, a massive shape broke the surface of the water with a tremendous splash. It was only visible for a second, a long, scaly body glistening in the moonlight before it vanished back into the depths. But that was all it took for the group to realize they were not alone. "Run!" Danny shouted. They scrambled to grab their things, abandoning most of their gear as they sprinted toward the trees. But as they ran, the water seemed to come alive. Another splash sounded, then another, closer this time. The growls grew louder, more ferocious, and from the corner of their eyes they saw something rise from the water, something enormous. The shadow of the creature loomed over the lake, its long snout and glowing eyes reflecting in the water. But it wasn't just a crocodile. Its form was twisted, monstrous, and wrong. It moved too quickly, too fluidly for something so massive, and its growl was filled with a primal hunger. They reached the edge of the forest, their hearts pounding, but Sarah tripped and fell. She screamed as something cold and slimy wrapped around her ankle, pulling her back toward the water. The others turned, horrified, as they saw long, wet tendrils emerging from the lake, dragging her toward the shore. "Help me!" she screamed, clawing at the ground. Danny and Alex rushed to grab her arms, pulling with all their might, but the tendrils were too strong. One by one, more of them shot out of the water, wrapping around her legs and torso. With a final desperate cry, Sarah was yanked into the lake, disappearing beneath the surface in a violent splash. The remaining three stood there, frozen in horror, as the water stilled once more, as if nothing had happened. The eerie silence returned, broken only by the faint ripple of water. "We need to go," Alex gasped, his face pale with terror. They bolted through the trees, not daring to look back. As they ran, they could still hear the growling echoing across the lake, growing fainter as they put more distance between themselves and the water. They didn't stop running until they reached the safety of their car, leaving Black Moon Lake behind them. They never spoke about that night again. No one believed their story, and the town continued to warn people not to visit the lake after dark. But Danny, Alex and Jenny knew the truth, that Black Moon Lake was not just a beautiful tourist spot. It was a place where something ancient and evil lurked beneath the surface, waiting for the next soul to wander too close